theism in the modern era is dead. How can you believe in God? Mere faith in this scientific age, there is no empirical evidence for the existence of God. One is either religious or scientific. One can't be both together.
Instead, the Quran contains logically, scientifically, and mathematically miraculous content. Premise 2 is that the hypothesis that Allah is the author of the Quran is the best explanation of these miracles. Conclusion is that therefore Allah exists. Both the above premises are true, therefore the conclusion also has to be true. This is simple deductive logic.
We will substantiate the preceding two premises. We will deal with just a few scientific miracles out of the many in the Quran. The Quran says, "It is He who created the night and the day and the sun and the moon, each of them floating in an orbit." Surah Anbiya, ayat 33. Neither can the sun overtake the moon, nor does the night precede the day. Each of them is floating in an orbit. Surah Yasin, ayat 40. The fact that the sun moves in an orbit is something that could not have been imagined even 50 years ago. In a society 1400 years ago which believed in a static universe, the concept of movement of celestial bodies in orbits is nothing short of miraculous. The Quran says, "Not even an atom's weight in the heavens and the earth, or something smaller or greater than it is hidden from Him, but all are in a clear record." Surah Sabah, ayat 3. The concept of anything smaller than an atom, that is subatomic particles, is something impossible for an illiterate desert dweller living 1400 years ago to have imagined. The Quran says, "When the stars are put out at the times of..." Surah Mursalat, ayat 9. At the time of the descent of the Quran, people believed that the light of the stars would last forever. At that time, the inner structure of the stars was a mystery, and the fact that the energy of the stars would one day be exhausted was not known. The Quran's prediction about the end of the stars was a miraculous statement. The Quran says, "With power did we construct heavens. Verily, we are expanding it." Surah Al-Dariyat, ayat 47. The fact that the Quran talks about an expanding universe which was discovered barely 100 years ago is a proof that it is 100 years ago is a proof that it has been authored by a supernatural being, because a human mind in those days could never imagine this, especially when the dominant belief at that time was that the earth was the center of the universe.
There are many more which cannot be discussed due to the limitations of time. So scientifically, worldwide its content was humanly impossible to proclaim by an illiterate Arab living 1400 years ago, let alone an illiterate person. Even the most educated person living 1400 years ago could not have accurately claimed such scientific facts. Allah says in the Quran, "Behold, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding." Surah Ali Imran, ayat 191. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. Well, that's miraculous content in the Quran. The Quran is completely free of any contradictions and conflict with established science.
Concerns incidents
24 times. And the number of the time for women also mentioned is 24 times. Dunya is an Arabic word for life is mentioned 115 times. And Akhirah is an Arabic word for afterlife is also mentioned 115 times. Malaika is an Arabic word for angel is mentioned 88 times. And Shaitan, Satan is mentioned 88 times. Life is mentioned 145 times. And death is mentioned 145 times. People is mentioned 50 times. And messengers is mentioned 50 times. Musiba, calamity is mentioned 75 times. And thanks is mentioned 75 times. Zakat, taxes Muslims pay for the poor is mentioned 32 times. And barakah, blessings of one's wealth is mentioned 32 times. Tongue is mentioned 25 times. And sermon is mentioned 25 times. Hardship is mentioned 114 times. And patience is mentioned 114 times. Month occurs in the Quran is 12 times. And days occurs in the Quran is 365 times. Can this be a mere coincidence? Another mathematical miracle is when we add each chapter number with its noble verses total, we find that the sum of even odd answer is 6,555. When we add each chapter number with its noble verses total, we find that the sum of even answer is 6,236. The sum of noble chapters is 6,555. And the sum of the noble verses is 6,236. Can this be a mere coincidence? There are many more instances of mathematical miracles in the Quran which cannot be discussed due to limitations of time.
It is impossible for a human to have composed such a book over a span of 23 years, such that it is such instead of many.
Had there been multiple gods, there would have been conflicting content in depth of the Quran. Moreover, the well-known philosophical principle of the offense razor states that we should prefer that explanation which contains the minimum number of presumptions. Therefore, one God is the least complicated explanation to existence of miraculous content in the Quran. The critical philosophical questions are: why is there anything rather than nothing? Is there a meaning to life? The fact that the universe exists means that there is a creator and a purpose behind the creation to test mankind so as to reward or punish as an ultimate recompense in the hereafter.
We believe there is no need for a God to explain that something exists instead of nothing. As Bertrand Russell said that the universe is just there, uncaused. It is a brute fact.
This argument has long been squared by the discovery of redshift in 1925, which established the concept of Big Bang as proven science, which means that there is a point of nothingness which is called as the singularity of infinite density with no mass and no volume, which exploded giving birth to the material universe along with energy, space and time. But what is the real meaning of infinite density with no mass and no volume? It practically means a point of nothingness, and something ever emerge out of nothing, certainly not in the sphere of understanding. Out of nothing, nothing comes. This proves primordial substance from which the universe exploded had to be brought into existence of this supernatural being. God makes sense to understand the origins of the universe.
But brother scientists today answer to the Big Bang, and that is the multiverse theory wherein there have been infinite number of Big Bangs and Big Crunches with many universe bubbles in existence since infinity.
an infinite number of Big Bangs is merely a figment of imagination, a theory. It cannot be scientifically verified. Hence, it is not established science. But even if we consider it for the sake of argument, there are many logical challenges to it. Let us think about the perspective. If the universe was just there, always, or there have been an infinite number of Big Bangs and Big Crunches with many, many universe bubbles in existence since infinity. It means we have an infinite history. But can this really be the case? Does an actual infinite exist in the material world? I would argue that it does not. For an example, imagine if we had an infinite number of bananas. If I take 2 bananas away, how many would be left? The same, that is an infinite number of bananas still. Does it make sense? Therefore, in the real material world, the infinite doesn't exist.
Sorry to interject, but this is an example of banana. It is not relevant. We are talking about the existence of an infinite number of the universe existing since infinity. Brother, the example of the banana to